Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Movie Club where Mike and I are talking about Saturday Night, the
Saturday, Saturday, Saturday. No, no, no.
semi biographical take on the 90 minutes leading up
Oh,
to the first SNL.
God, I saw one of the original. I forgot who. One of the original SNL casts was interviewed and said it seemed pretty accurate. Like, it wasn't perfect, but I think it was accurate. I think Accurate was talking about it being decently realistic to how that felt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, Lauren's still alive, Chevy's still alive, Dan's, there's a lot of
Mhm.
guys that were part of that are still alive that you could easily interview to kind of get stuff nailed down. And so many people have done books or um, memoirs on this that it wouldn't surprise me if they basically had a beat for beat plot of what happened that night.
Yeah. So what going into this kind of? Cause I actually know what is kind of your touchstone of SNL? Cause for me it was I'd say I had a good few years in high school I watched it, but and then obviously my parents I think kind of were that peak generation of watched it when it was, so I kind of grew up knowing those skits.
I'm not a huge SNL fan. Um, so I don't really have a um, kind of reverence for it the way that others would. I mean, obviously, there's the sketches that everyone knows, right? Like the Celebrity Jeopardy sketches or um, the digital shorts with Lonely Island that have kind of transcended SNL and become kind of their own thing. Really, other than that, I guess for some people it was a boost to their careers, but as we'll get into, there were careers that really didn't need the boost.
Yeah, this is it's very interesting because I think SNL. So here's what I think what SNL I think did, especially these early years. I think it either supercharged or sped up the careers of a lot of people, but it's people that you could almost have seen become famous in some capacity from that time. I think this film kind of shows that in a good way.
Oh, I mean, without doubt, Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi would have been household names, even without SNL. They were on that trajectory of becoming.
It might have taken longer, or it might have been a different way they quite
Yeah,
became household names. But I agree. I think those were specific people, especially pulling them from Second City, or even pulling them from National Lampoons. Kind of you pull these people that were getting cult followings already. It's just a matter of how
yeah,
big would they've gotten or how immediate.
yeah. And I mean, like, I think you forget how stacked the SNL cast was at the beginning.
It
Just
didn't last long, but it's also wild when you we'll get into this film also again a bit on this, but when you start doing early names even names like Al Franken or Billy Crystal, these things you oh yeah, they were there and
yeah,
actually mattered.
yeah. You forget that Billy Crystal was there, and it's like,
Or Paul Schaefer. You get to see you're oh yeah, these were
yeah,
actual things through SNL. It's kind of there's an argument to be made that SNL should be and is viewed kind of in a way that I would argue a lot of people kind of view Community of a less surprised when people kind of became famous that were on that show, not because the show, but became famous after the show. And you look back, I think SNL kind of has that similar kind of feel in that way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I gotta say, like, whenever I hear stories of the Ebersols Dick and his son. Shit, what's his son's name? They are. Is it just Charlie?
It's Charlie.
Yeah. It's like these are the guys that take risks. It's these two, like it's him, it's Dick and his son are the ones that like are the reason television is the way it is. You know, like he executive produced SNL from when it started in 81 until 85. And then was a huge partner with Vince McMahon. Like, you know, he and then like he becomes president of NBC Sports in 89, and that's when we get, you know, the NBC Olympics dominating. Right? Like Dick Ebersol is probably the most influential person in terms of sports.
Yeah. There's a few, like it's interesting of like something I ever sent you. There was a few months ago where God, who are the special effects YouTubers?
Oh, Quarter Digital.
Yeah. No, the other one. They're the big ones. The ones that do VFX for film. I'll see if I could find it. But the whole point was they talked about they pulled apart kind of this idea of like the history of how we do like graphics and stuff on like live sports TV pipeline.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that was a very interesting thing of like it's also wild to like think about how relatively recent a lot of these changes are too, especially like from that. And that's why people like this are like, oh, we're willing to take investments or opportunities, kind of like this stuff's expensive, especially when you try to first test out kind of how to present the stuff so people actually want to watch it. Like, that's why we get this thing of like we think of stuff like baseball or slow games as like America's sports more so because we were really good at announcing games, way less good at showing them until relatively very recent in like TV.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through and it's like between Dick and Charlie, just like they are NBC, right? Like whether or not that's a good thing is up in the air, right? Like having somebody that powerful that's been at a network for that long potentially could lead you into some interesting situations. So, but also you get gems like SNL, you get, you know, the dominance of NBC Sports, you get, you know, his time with, you know, he's the innovator of a lot of the things that happen in like the XFL, which completely changed how football is
I
broadcast.
was gonna say that like that's the other one I was thinking of like Vince McMahon from a pushing the money point of view is someone that like doesn't get talked about also like the way we present I think a lot of sports. Like the amount of even when I was watching the Olympics this year of like the amount of drones that are used. Like those kind of shots that like I don't think we'd have thought of.
Yeah, I mean the Skycam is a Dick Ebersol idea. Like it's crazy the influence this guy has and has had. So it was cool to see him kind of like shown as who he really was, right? Like that's easily a character that you could have made different, right? Instead of being this supportive barrier for SNL and the network, he could have been like a pushy barrier, which he really wasn't. So it's cool that he was portrayed that way. I also don't know if they could have portrayed him as kind of a hardline guy with a lot of these people still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If this movie's made, well, most of the cast from SNL are dead, you could probably make that change.
Yeah, because we're at the point where, like, obviously we've lost some of the early greats, but, like, most of them are still around, or at least in some level of, like, relevant too, which probably doesn't help a ton of, like, the level of, like, that's an interesting discussion of, like, the level of critical accuracy this film, like, it's kind of like this level of, like, we could get the emotion out, right, of, like, them all being stressed, all this what's going on, but, like, and maybe some of the bads, but, like, it's gonna inherently limit kind of some of the truth, and I bet you'd be curious if it inherently limited some of the stories that were kind of told when they're writing this.
I mean, they kind of glisten Chevy Chase in this. And by all accounts, he's an asshole to work with. So whether or not that is a more recent change in his personality, or if it was success from SNL that started to lead to that change, I don't know. But yeah, they kind of make him like seem like this lovable kind of loser character.
Which means they didn't interview anyone from Community or use their work. Like,
the Dan Aykroyd character feels really odd.
yeah, it feels like like they didn't know what to do with it. Because Dan Aykroyd's another one. He's kind of an asshole, but he's not like Chevy Chase level of an asshole, is my understanding always.
Well, but he's an asshole, but also like this movie has so many issues with explaining stuff. And I'm just going through the cast as it's listed in order, so we'll get to one pretty quickly. But Dan Aykroyd is kind of like explaining the interactions with people. They needed more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, Dan explains why John Belushi is the way he is, because he's an Illinois Alpha. A lot of the unknowns that this movie kind of brings up never get explained. Like, okay, what's an Illinois Alpha? Right, like that was a thing in the comic scene. Right, like there were these guys that were kind of molded by the Chicago comedy scene that made it in Chicago and just had this arrogance about them. If you didn't know that, you have no idea what they're talking about. Also, they seem to be very kind on John Belushi in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that he was kind of everyone's lovable, just cokehead friend. But it seems like they maybe pull back a little bit on some of the punches that they could have thrown.
There's a lot of this where, like, again, I think that is going to be the through point if we talk about the accuracy of this. Is that there's a lot of punches they hold back that, like, we know are true, or like we've heard a ton that you think you'd at least explain.
Yeah. Perfect example of this movie doesn't explain anything. Andy Kaufman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you don't know, Andy Kaufman's shtick is he lives and breathes kayfabe. You don't get it.
Which is like one of those of like, I understand Andy Kaufman's like a decent known comedian, but he's not known enough of like what he did where like I feel like you have to like they should have been like in the writer's room explaining why he's coming and who he is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have put the scene in for 30 seconds, at least grounded this so much better.
Or literally put a line in that's like, hey, Who have we got playing Jim Henson? Oh, it's Kaufman. And that explains it. Instead, you're just left going, is that the guy playing Andy Kaufman dressed as Jim Henson? And why is the guy playing Lorne Michaels addressing him as Jim Henson? Right, like Andy Kaufman being the ultimate character actor is never covered. So you are thrown for a loop every time he's on screen. I feel like that was one of the parts that just dragged this movie down. And I get that you're trying to hold to that 90-minute, we want it as close to realistic as possible.
You're trying to go for a live shot, basically.
Yeah. Make it 5 minutes longer, but put those 5 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah, and then you cut to the like a title card. You cut to the countdown, kind of. Like that's when someone screams 90 minutes.
They already established in the movie that they're cutting to these title cards that it's counting the time, or it's advancing the time. Play that video that they had at the beginning introducing everyone that is getting caught off by people moving all the time that they had on the TV. Just have that playing at the beginning so you understand who the characters are. And then cut to Lord in like the control room saying, oh yeah, and we've got Andy Kaufman playing Jim Henson. Boom. I just solved your problem. Right. I solved so many problems of explaining away a lot of the characters. I feel like the Billy Crystal character gets very much kind of just thrown to the side in this. The time that they spend explaining Milton Berle's supposed involvement in SNL, they could have spent explaining other stuff. Right? Like, supposedly, I've got Entertainment Weekly did a fact check of Saturday Night. And the first one is, did Milton Berle flash Chevy Chase after hitting on the comedian's fiance? The first half of the sentence, there's no record that Milton Berle was lurking around SNL on premiere night. Boom. There you go. So he wasn't even there. Right? Like, if you were going to add to the storyline a character that wasn't involved, just so you could have J.K. Simmons drop the line and somebody, it was Lorne Michaels saying, like, your reputation precedes you. And he goes, yeah, by about 11 inches. Because he's talking about his dick. And then you see him whip out a prosthetic dick. But you only see, like, the top, or, like, the base part of the shaft. So it's like, you get the idea that it's massive. But also it's just a really weird, like, scene altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's, some of the stuff that you're reading about of stuff that actually happened, the stuff that they put in the movie that they didn't need. It's already hectic enough. You already have George Carlin freaking out.
Also, you already have like 25 characters introduced in this film.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, I think this film is a very entertaining piece, and as you said, kind of gives a good feeling, kind of live production. But there is something here of like, this film makes a lot of assumptions of you knowing who people are that I almost feel like it shouldn't.
Yes, absolutely. This movie is for people that love SNL.
Mm-mm.
And
Like this
are,
is like I suggest my parents go see this film because obviously they would understand these characters.
yeah. So if you grew up with SNL, especially early SNL, and have an affinity for those characters and those comics, this movie is perfect. If you're like you and me, who know a lot of these characters from their work after SNL, you need to be reintroduced to these characters. So, but yeah, also like for anybody that has ever worked in live production, especially like live stage production, this show is an anxiety trigger for 90 minutes. Because I've been there where you're leading up to opening night and shit's just not working.
Right, like it's always like something goes wrong. Like, and it can
Yeah.
be simple, but like it's always that base level of until you see it working and it's working when it needs to happen, it's not working.
I mean, I have on more than one occasion dropped the iconic Bill O'Reilly line, fuck it, we'll do it live, because shit is just not working. And there is this energy that builds up that when you go live, right? Like this film closes with the opening of
Live from New York.
yeah, right.
It's Saturday night.
It's the first cold open, and it's kind of hanging. And you're not sure if John's coming up. Like that energy is there, and like I felt that. Like I felt it kind of in me again. Of like all of that anxiety gets like bundled up, and it's like as long as we start to hit our cues, we're good. We're golden. Right. Like everybody here is a professional. As soon as those lights go on, a lot of this stuff disappears and you just do your job. And while I think some of it was a little like rah rah, you know, we're all going to work together to get this shit going. Like perfect example is the set guys not helping the dude lay brick until like the last 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that would have happened for a while, but it wouldn't have been like, hey, we've got 90 seconds to showtime. Oh shit, this is actually going to happen. We better lay all this brick. No, it would have been like, a couple minutes before you even get told that time's counting down, where it's like, all right, things are starting to line up. All right, this is the last thing we need to do. Fuck it, we'll just get it done because I want to get paid. Sort of thing. So, but
Yeah. I was gonna say, is there any? I'm trying to think of this one. So now at this point, we've had Jason Reitman kind of directed quite a few films. He's a good chunk, right? And it's something I think here is: do you think, like, between this and like Ghostbusters, I think Jason Reitman is the director right now that I think best is able to look back and kind of touch those kind of topics. I'm kind of curious, do you agree with that? Slash, like, my opinion of that, I'm assuming it's really because like who his father was and kind of how he grew up on those sets is why they did it.
there's something to be said about Nepo babies, right? Like 99% of the time, it doesn't work. but it's that 1% of the time where it works and they knock it out of the fucking park.
See, but I want to make a comment on the nepo baby thing that I read online that I think it's valid to be said. I think we've talked about this too. Is that there's two types of nepo babies. Nepo babies in the sense of you are famous solely because of your name, or the nepo baby that is famous and knew the system as a name, but then also like earned their stripes at a certain point. And I think Reitman's probably more of that latter.
Potentially, I mean, his first film was Thank You for Smoking, which probably decent budget, then Juno.
I was like, his hit like that filmography is like I would argue like a at least consistent filmography. Like, yes, I think Thank You for Smoking is a very good time. Juno's a very good time. I have not seen Young Adult. Like that's what gets a little weird, but like especially his early stuff, like I think he very quickly was like had at least some solid work.
I think he got the benefit of the doubt because of his name, which fine. He then succeeded in that. There are another one is Sofia Coppola, right? Like she's decently succeeded in her role as a nepo baby director. And I think nepo babies of directors or producers have an advantage versus like Zoe Kravitz, right? Like she made her directorial debut recently. Nepo babies of directors grow up around that side.
Yeah, they grew up knowing they learn the system both front and back.
Yeah, they grow up knowing how to make a movie.
And not just conceptual, like literally like how do I get this funding? Who do I talk to? what type of even little stuff like how many of them like grew up and probably like when the parent has to do something super busy was like go in the small niche department that you maybe learned really well.
Yeah.
And we've kind of seen that kind of like that's where like I think the thing with the nepo babies of these directors especially you see like a style of them consistently.
Yeah, and I mean you look at Jason's a pretty good example. He could have easily just followed Ivan's directorial style and just been like, okay, like this is just kind of a franchise, if you will, right? Like it's the Reitman style of directing. Instead, he's like, okay, we'll kind of go his own way. Part of me wishes that the kind of the notion, if you will, of directorial styles wasn't as big of a thing. Right, I wish there were more directors that were willing to kind of reach out and do a bunch of different styles because that's what actors do, right? So children of actors are probably more well-versed to being thrown into just any situation. Kids of directors are well-suited in being thrown into making a movie. Right, so there's kind of that balance of children of actors are probably going to make at least somewhat decent actors. Also, I mean, shit, look at Diane Rouse's daughter. I can't think of her first name right now.
I should know too.
Who went from, it's singer's daughter, Tracy Ellis Ross. Tracy is a very good actress. Very good actress. She could have easily gone the musical route. Instead, she decided to explore her own thing. So I think kids that are allowed to explore their own thing, especially Nepo kids, is where they end up becoming the best. Because they actually care about it.
Again, I think there is a validity to complain about like the level of the ones who like don't accept they are, but like I do think there is. It's interesting because like some of the best actors of today, or even last generation, are Nepo ones, but like the best are also they also are separately working. It's the Nepo just kind of gave them that footstep in versus like staying in Hollywood or staying relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Like name power is everything in Hollywood, so it definitely helped.
Right, but at a certain point, if even if your parent was famous, if you suck, you're not enough of a box office draw to keep you around.
Yeah. A great example of this is in the music scene, Wolfgang Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's kind of changed it around in that he doesn't go by Van Halen. Right? It's Mammoth WVH. So he's not. It's not instantly apparent that it's a Van Halen. Obviously, if you know who the group is, you know. But that guy could easily have gone on a stadium tour just using his last name. Right? Like, he could have pulled the big dick move of, I'm a Van Halen, I don't need to open for anyone. And I'm gonna, we're only gonna headline tours. Instead, he kind of took a step back, went, no, I should have to cut my teeth and make myself my own name. So he doesn't go as a Van Halen, he goes as Mammoth WVH. And then he's an opener for a bunch of acts. Like, I think he's headlined a couple tours now.
I was gonna say, like, to the point where, like, I'm not gonna lie that, like, I've obviously heard his music. I forget that he is a Van Halen because, like, he very much does not want you to remember.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely tones from time to time where it's like, oh, this dude is, he's a Van Halen. Like, you can hear it in the guitar and stuff like that.
But that's because it's a natural sound. In the same way, it could be like the Nepo actors are like, oh, obviously that's the kid because how they act. But like, it's not the same as like using it to get there.
Yeah. So, I guess my point is, Nepo kids that work for it, I have a lot more respect for. Because it feels like they're actually, they want to get involved. They don't just want.
I think a way I would compare it is it's like being the kid of a doctor. It might make becoming a doctor easy for you logistically, but like you can't stay a doctor if you suck at it.
Right. That's kind of what I was gonna get at. Was like, it's not necessarily just going into the family business because, of course, you're going to. It's going into the family business because you find it interesting. So, all that to say, Saturday Night has a lot of issues,
but
it's got a target audience.
And I do think, even if you don't know the subject matter, it's at least entertaining. I would not look at this and be like, it's a good history piece. But I would say if you like the vibe of that, or if you just want to like see that type of film, I think it's there in some capacity.
Potentially, yeah.
So yeah. Saturday Night by Jason Reitman, out now in theaters. Go maybe check it out. Why not? Maybe check it out. Check it out because like theaters should still exist, and like let's be honest, this isn't the worst thing you could see.
Yeah, I mean, like, hold on. What's
The worst thing out right now.
Um,
This isn't even close. Like I promise you, this is not even close to the worst movie out right now.
let's see. Joker Full Ado. Um,
Okay. Ironically, this is one of the worst things in right now, and I don't actually understand how that happened.
I mean, like, okay. If we're going off of IMDb ratings, which, whatever.
I was thinking what's in AMC right now, and actually, this might be the worst film in AMC's or Joker is right now. Like, what, like looking at them.
Yeah. Like, looking at the top 10 box office 7-2-8-4, 7-6-9, 7-4, 5-3, 7-3, 7-8. Saturday Night is a 7-4.
Yeah, like it's actually like saying it's somewhere in there where it's not.
So, I mean, it's sitting in line with, like, the Pharrell Williams autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
Smile 2 is a 7-2.
Like it's this is actually after the last few months of very hit or miss theaters. I think right now we're actually in a decent spot. Like what's out.
Yeah.
It could be better, but like
Yeah.
there aren't stinkers in the same way that like go back 2 months. It's almost all stinkers.
That's true.
Like that's what I mean. Like at least now there's like a consistent like if this was our low baseline, we could live with it versus like what's been.
And honestly, looking forward, maybe Venom can save the October box office.
Hey, Venom makes like $1 billion. Don't bet about Venom from a money point of view. It's the only thing keeping Sony alive.
I think is going to secretly be like a near $1 billion movie.
Yeah, because I don't understand. I've actually like I don't understand the like way Venom is a hit that it is.
Yeah.
Venom is like one of the best performing Spider-Man movies. Like
November.
Gladiator, or is that December?
I'm just going through the release calendar right now. Red One, maybe potentially.
God.
Dwayne Johnson could draw enough money. Wicked. By the way, the campaign right now for Wicked is doing fans of it so dirty.
Okay. No, it's something I've been saying to my girlfriend every time we see this trailer, okay? If you did not know Wicked was a musical, would you watching that trailer know Wicked was a musical?
That's not even what I'm talking about. This is a 2-part thing.
I don't think I knew that. It is?
Yes.
What?
This Wicked 1, which is not even labeled a part 1, this movie ends with Defying Gravity.
Wait, I'm sorry, it's not the whole thing?
No.
I thought it was. I thought we. What the fuck?
It's yes. After 2 decades as one of the most beloved and enduring musicals on the stage, Wicked makes its long-awaited journey to the big screen as a spectacular, generation-defining 2-part cinematic event this holiday season.
Fucking Christ.
And they aren't even going to be released in the same year. They're going to wait an entire year. Entire fiscal year.
Do it. Wicked should have done what that fucking dumb God, what was their Western, fucking American Western that came out part 1 or 2?
Yeah,
Rise and Beyond, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
But like, they should have done that. Just do them like a month apart. If you're gonna do it, because you need the money, whatever the fuck, at least put them close enough together, and like something like Wicked, where we know the story. And like,
so many people are gonna walk out of that disappointed.
but you know what blows my mind? It's a musical that fits in a normal film time slot. This is like when you're like adapting a book and you're like, oh fuck, I have 24 hours to deal with. This is like the musical fits a time slot of the film, even if you add in filler.
Yeah. Gladiator is in November. It's releasing the 22nd along with Wicked.
Oh, it's the Thanksgiving movie of the year. Got it.
You got Moana 2, which is probably going to be nearly $1 billion.
That one at least will make the kids' box offices better.
Let's see, December. Craven,
Mm.
Sonic 3, which will do decent numbers.
Can I say the controversial? I don't know if Craven actually looks bad, which is scary, or at least from the trailer.
It doesn't look horrendous, but I didn't know that's what it was for a while.
No, and that's why it doesn't look bad. It's because it doesn't look like that's what it is. Like it, like if you said to me, if we just said this wasn't Spider related, I'd be like, this looks like a fun C-rated action film.
Yeah, they don't even mention Spider-Man in the trailer.
No, and that's the thing. I'm like, maybe like they just learned their lesson of like just don't fucking care and just like make it fun. Like at least be like it's Craven for people want to, but like we don't actually care.
I haven't seen the Venom movies. Do they mention Spider-Man in them?
Holy fuck! There was a scene in that movie that I promise you Marvel did not sign off on.
Okay.
All I gotta say is watch the post credit of 2, and there is not a world anyone at Disney signed off.
I'm just pulling it up so I can watch it later.
No, text me when you do, and you're gonna understand immediately why I'm like Disney did not sign off on this.
So anyway, like box office isn't looking spectacular,
Mhm.
and looking into January, I really don't see anything that's gonna save it.
We're at the point where like I'm getting a little concerned of like AMC. I think actually has found its groove, but it's more like those other side ones that are a little more like, are they gonna start falling off? I think AMC has kind of learned you have to be more. It's like we have the Marcus chain by me, but like they kind of understand like they now have an open bar at all their ones, or they have like a public room you can just watch like pay-per-views and stuff. Like they've kind of like found a way to at least probably make enough revenue being an entertainment space.
I mean, the question is, will a light box office get theaters through until Valentine's Day?
Which is
Captain America.
that's fair. Actually, and like again, as much as there's Marvel fatigue, like the thing with that those trailers are, it's pitching itself as like Winter Soldier-esque enough that I'd be curious if you could at least recapture some of that.
And then honestly, I hope they can survive because shit's not looking good.
And on that depressing note, we will see you guys next time. As you're hearing this, we were actually like live in Ohio, so we'll figure out something for that. But we will see all of you soon.
See.